to a chat with Glendora, America's champion of pro se litigants' rights and First Amendment rights. Stay tuned, we will be right back with our show.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! When do we want justice? When do we want it? Now! Who are we? Hey, court! When do we want justice? When do we want it? Now! The people!
People united shall never be defeated.
United will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people.
Stand right out of my head 'cause I'm out of sight. Oh, Glendora, I want to see more of you. Last night next door they did some change.
Okay, let's edit the last 2 weeks' information that you should have, that NBC, ABC, and CBS and Fox News do not give you. Folks, here is a conversation I had with Elena Sassauer. She knew that Wesley, who was a candidate to go onto the Second Circuit, the Fed
Rights at any time, okay? The law further goes on to say, and that it's the judge's responsibility. It's the judge's duty and responsibility, and this is case law, that she should not be forced to surrender any right or liberty due to her lack of experience.
There was no issue here
But
as
see,
far as lack of experience
but
or
the
knowledge
thing is,
per se.
he had no right proceeding once the subpoenas weren't issued. In my opinion, okay, and other law professionals, once the defendants the prosecution's witnesses showed up and you had issued subpoenas to them, and they sat down and told you that not only had they not provided discovery, but they had failed to bring any of the documents with it, the judge at that point should have dismissed the hearing and ordered discovery.
Well,
I mean, that's procedural 101.
I had made a formal motion to enforce my discovery rights. The judge allowed the prosecution to disregard its production obligations and to pretend that there were no outstanding discovery issues, which was an out-and-out lie, and I mean a falsification of the record of my rights. But obviously, when you go to trial, you are entitled in advance to discovery, and I had additionally, as you have correctly pointed out, served subpoenas which also required production at trial of documents. And what you had is the usual lawlessness by witnesses or deceit of witnesses. No, they didn't bring any documents. No, they don't have any recollection.
No.
It's all, they can't remember anything. They don't know anything. I mean, these are professional people. These are people.
These are law enforcement officers.
These are U.S. This is U.S. Capitol Police.
If I get a subpoena, if I would walk into a court and didn't have a subpoena, you know, I sat in a trial here in U.S. District Court in Greenbelt the other day, and the lawyer told the judge apparently the defendants had been issued subpoenas, but I had to stand up and correct the court because I knew for a fact that they had not been supposed to have subpoenas, but the judge didn't stop at that. He issued a bench warrant if they weren't there by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Did I see this judge issue any bench warrants? Did I see him admonish these people?
No, but truly, this had been the pattern pre-trial. It continued at trial. Moreover, you not only had non-production, you had the admission only shortly before trial that tapes had been destroyed.
Crucial evidence.
Crucial evidence had been quote lost.
Yeah.
Now that in itself is an important pre-trial inquiry. Lost? What do you mean by lost? there is a proper inquiry to be undertaken whether lost also means destroyed.
Destroyed.
And there are rights that I destruction. But again, all these pretrial issues were just thrown aside by the judge. At trial, they were ignored also, although I have rights flowing from them. But really what you said before, I think, is very noteworthy, and that is that a judge is charged with the duty of enforcing standards of professional responsibility and conduct. And what you had in this litigation, but this litigation is illustrative of what goes on in the average case.
Oh, I see it every
Where
day.
you have biased judges don't enforce standards of conduct on the misbehaving party that he or she wishes to favor. That is the party that gets away with everything.
Amen to that.
And it's the law of the jungle. No tactic is too unscrupulous, unethical. The more the better, and the court allows it, and the aggrieved litigant is just out of luck. There's no respect for ethical rules of professional responsibility. I mean, here in this lawsuit, as
Elena Sassower, America's newest convicted criminal. She is with the Center for Judicial Accountability. Elena, it's a pleasure to have you here today. God bless.
Thank you so much for having me.
How do you feel? You just came out of court and you're now our newest criminal?
Yes. Yes.
Does this make you proud of our system of justice?
No, of course not.
No.
I was unfairly convicted before a biased tribunal which ran roughshod over the most fundamental rules of procedure, evidence, and a trial so conducted necessarily results in conviction. This is the only way they could convict me on such a bogus charge as was lodged against me by the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Well,
Disruption of Congress.
I agree, and here's our article, as the Legal Times posted it last week. Trial of a judicial gadfly. Unfortunately, the Legal Times misrepresented throughout the whole proceeding what was happening in the he's rewarded by
Constitution, the laws.
Well, I'm
you don't even have
sorry,
to get broad.
but this is where you're at. I mean,
Ethics.
Again, let me see, professional conduct.
Interview with Elena Sassower in D.C. jail, July 21st, year 2004. Convicted federal misdemeanor.
Yes.
For the alleged disruption of Congress. And this is, I need to ask you some background. Would you please identify yourself, Elena?
I am Elena Sassower. I'm the coordinator and co-founder of the Center for Judicial Accountability, a nonpartisan, nonprofit citizens organization that is working to ensure that the policies of judicial selection and discipline are meaningful and effective.
Okay. And Elena, I need some background. You were incarcerated after a sentencing hearing on June 28th. Is this correct?
I was arrested and prosecuted on a bogus and malicious disruption of Congress charge. The purported basis was what took place at the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing of May 22nd, 2003.
Okay, we have that. I have that documented already.
Yes,
and I agree with you. The Senate's own videotape confirms that you were arrested exactly 7 seconds after you rose up and said that after the hearing had been gavelled closed, it took the officers 7 seconds to arrest you and march you back across in front of the camera. So I agree that you were set up by Senator Chambers and other parties after my review of the tape and many other people's. But
well, let me just clarify hearing, as you have recognized, is not he said, she said. It's documented by a videotape.
Absolutely.
And the videotape shows that after Senator Chambliss, the presiding chairman, had announced the hearing adjourned, only then did I rise. And the question that I asked, which can be discerned through the videotape, certainly if it were analyzed, it would confirm the precise words that I said, which can be heard, although imperfectly, and they are, Mr. Chairman, there's citizen opposition to Judge Wesley based on his documented corruption as a New York Court of Appeals judge. May I testify? And I think that you are correct in saying that my words took approximately 7 seconds.
Your words took less than that. Your words took less. You said that, and what was shocking to me on the video, okay, which was really shocking to me and leads me to believe that there's a definite setup here, is the fact that not one participant in the audience there dared to turn around and to check out this disruption. That's one. The second thing is the Senate has a sophisticated set of cameramen working there, and they were apparently told not to transfer the camera to you because it would create a record, and that shocks me as from a journalistic standpoint. They should have. As in any other hearing, if a disruption turns, generally the media turns right to the point of the disruption. This did not happen in your case.
No. There was no disruption in the least. And your observation that there didn't seem to be any reaction from the audience, my goodness, the most important point to make is that there was no response by Senator Chambliss to that respectful question, may I testify?
Oh, yes, there was.
Well, what he,
yeah, but it wasn't what one would expect.
What he did was, rather than answering that question with a yes or no, which is how such a question should have been responded to, was to call for order. Now, in calling for order, I was approached by 2 officers whose heads can be seen passing in front of the video camera. And as the testimony adduced at trial reflects, one of the officers told me to sit down, that is, to remain in the room and to be quiet. The other officer insisted...
Well, did you sit down as he requested?
I was not permitted to sit down as he requested because the other officer insisted that I leave the hearing room. And it was because of her insistence and because I wanted to clarify whether I was being taken out so as to be arrested, that I then, and it is reflected by the video, called down to Presiding Chairman Chambliss, are you directing that I be arrested? Are you directing that I be arrested? And once again, to that very direct question, there was no response from Chairman Chambliss. Well, the officer, whose name is Sergeant Vignati, insisted that I leave the hearing room, which, of course, I did.
Did they handcuff you before you left?
No. Once again, calling out to Chairman Chambliss, are you directing that I be arrested?
Oh, that's clear on the tape.
And Chairman Chambliss would not answer that straightforward question. Now, I should identify that Sergeant Vignati, who took me out, who insisted that I leave the hearing room, upon removing me from the hearing room, she immediately proceeded to arrest me, to have me put in cuffs. And she was not interested in any of the facts or circumstances. Well, it turns out that Sergeant Vignati is an officer against whom I filed a police misconduct complaint in 1996. And she had a personal motive to arrest me based upon her vindictive desire to punish me for that serious and substantial complaints that I filed against her and fellow officers in 1996. And, but I would like to point out to you that when you said that based upon the video, it's quite apparent to you that I was set up. What should be noted from the video is that once I was taken out, or perhaps I should say as I was taken out, or somewhere simultaneous, the video camera shows the face of Chairman Chambliss. And certainly when I am respectfully requesting to testify, his face shows no surprise, not in the least. Well, as I am taken out, the video camera shows him putting on reading glasses. And he is quite apparently reaching for a sheet of paper from which he appears to be reading as soon as I am removed from the room.
Well,
and at that point, I should say, the video camera, you have made some very good observations as to where the video camera is trained.
Well, there are 3 video cameras in the room.
The video camera no longer is focused on his face. It is now moved back, but from the tempo of his words, it's very apparent that he's reading from a document.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
No
it's
doubt.
Scripted.
Exactly. And the script says that, some in substance, that they do not, the Senate Judiciary Committee does not, as a regular practice, allow public testimony, citizens to testify, and then goes on to say that, well, we realize this lady is disappointed, but that in no way condones the disruption of these proceedings.
Stop. I need to stop you here. I need to stop you. Okay. Okay. In no way condones the disruption of this hearing. Okay? Now, you and I and everybody else in the free world understands what it means when you gavel a meeting closed and you pronounce it adjourned. Did he not ask if there were any other senators present who wanted to input, and then he proceeded to gavel the meeting adjourned?
Well,
yes or no?
Well, Senator Chambliss was the only senator.
I know that. That's what I'm getting at. He was the only senator,
there
appointing judges for life, which scares the daylights out of me.
He's the only senator presiding over this public hearing. All the other senators who had been present at the outset, including home state senators Schumer and Clinton, had filed out after their initial presentation and remarks of support for the various nominees. You see, these judicial nominations are a matter of political feel. And they are arranged by the senators who come forward and make their adulatory statements at the outset. And then the senators file out, and these hearings are conducted with only a single senator presiding for the questioning, which is a couple of soft questions thrown out to the nominees simply for show, not of any substance. There is no inquiry by the presiding chairman whether anyone present wishes to give testimony either in support or in opposition, which had been done in years past. There is no inquiry, and I should say that it had been my position that this was an important question to be asked by the presiding chairman, whether there was anyone present who wished to testify. Certainly, the Senate Judiciary Committee was fully aware that I wished to testify, and that if the presiding chairman was not going to ask that question, I would ask respectfully if I might be permitted to testify. The point that I'm trying to make, though, is that rather than reading such a statement after I had been removed from the hearing room, the appropriate time to read such a statement, since Senator Chambliss had knowledge, the Senate Judiciary Committee had knowledge, that I was going to be respectfully requesting to be permitted to testify in the event that the presiding chairman did not make such inquiry, the appropriate time to make such a statement, as we do not allow public participation.
The beginning of the proceeding.
Would have been at some point during the
not after it has been adjourned.
Recognize it to say we are aware that there has been a request from a member of the public to be permitted to testify. However,
But you're more than a member of the public.
Most certainly.
You are absolutely more. You are the head of an organization that as a watchdog group that's helping to clean up the corruption in our courts.
Absolutely.
And,
we are an organization that is advocating greater openness in the processes of judicial selection and discipline, that believes that citizens have a rightful place of participation, and which has long documented that the Senate Judiciary Committee rejects out of hand information and evidence proffered to it from members of the public bearing upon the unfitness of judicial nominees. The Senate Judiciary Committee has no desire to scrutinize the qualifications of essentially all of the nominations, because they are the subject, they're the part of political deals, and they do not want to upset these political deals.
Let's move forward now.
Yes.
Okay, I need to ask you some questions, and I don't want to run out of time here.
Thanks.
Okay, I need to ask some personal questions for you, for your supporters and your family members. How are you doing? How are you being treated?
Well, it is a hard and difficult, very painful thing to be incarcerated.
I'm sure it is.
It is a nightmarish experience, all the worse because of its duration. We're not talking about a brief sentence. It's a 6-month sentence. It's a very substantial amount of time. Of course, I am with prisoners who are often facing and who have already served prison terms that are years and years and years.
Oh, yeah.
So it's, from that standpoint, it's all relative. But 6 months is a long time to be locked up, and it's very hard.
It appears the facility is a well-run, decent facility, and it has good control, which is, that to me is a relief.
This facility is actually adjacent to the D.C. jail.
Okay.
It is not the D.C. jail where I was originally taken and where I spent my first several days. That place is a hellhole which should be closed down immediately. Not only because of the physical conditions of confinement, but because of the abusive behavior, virtually uniformly, of the officers. This facility, the correctional treatment facility, which is adjacent, is run by a private corporation, and not only physically is a facility far and above the D.C. jail, but there is a level of professionalism on the part of the officers that is really wonderful. You're treated as a human being and not as an animal.
I'm sure your mother would be glad to hear that.
But I want to say that I am fortunate that I have so many supporters who have written to me and have made known to me that they appreciate that I am standing up for citizen rights and public participation in federal judicial selection, that they are outraged as to what has taken place, and they want me to know, and I got one letter in particular written by someone, and he said it was the wee hours of the morning, 2 a.m., and he wanted to know that he was busy on the internet, and there are a lot of people out there very concerned, working on my behalf, and I should know that my sacrifice was appreciated and I was not alone.
Well, unfortunately, your mother said faxed me about 20 letters this morning, and then we had a problem with the fax machine, so I barely got this document out here for you. I just brought you in.
Let me just say why your efforts, George, are so especially appreciated, because you are really the point man on the ground here in D.C. because this is a big country, and there are a lot of people who have been wanting to help and what's needed to be done, and I cannot begin to...
American people deserve better than what has gone on the floor of this Senate over these last many hours.
Thank you enough. You and the handful of others.
George McDermott, welcome, folks. Today we're going to be talking about the imprisonment of America's second prisoner of conscience, Elena Ruth Sassower, with the Center for Judicial Accountability, is now serving time in the D.C. Corrections Department 6 months for alleged disruption of Congress. This reporter was at the court during 80% of the proceedings, and I must say that what I saw was abominable. And it is now proven by 900 pages of documented evidence known as the transcript of the proceeding. Ms. Sassower was convicted for alleged disruption of Congress, which this clip will show was actually Congress was adjourned. But that did not stop a group of United States senators and their aides and agents within the Capitol Police from prosecuting this citizen for asking for a right to present evidence against a judge who had a known colored history in the New York Courts of Appeals. Elena Sassower, I visited her with her yesterday on the 28th of July, and she is in good spirits and wishes all of the viewers to know that what has taken place here will be brought to light eventually. I also was granted the permission on the 15th of July to do a interview in jail with this convicted misdemeanor, and to show that what has taken place here is nothing more than a frame-up of a citizen and an activist. By the way, an activist who has the citizen's best interest at heart, seeing that our nation gets good quality judges and that these judges are accountable for their actions on and off the bench, as we, as other citizens, are being held to this same standard.
Imagine if there were no bombs. I hope someday you'll join us. Imagine if there was human rights for everyone.
People united shall never be defeated.
We like the big fights and the impossible fights.
Ask them, coach of the local high school mock trial team. Would you tell the committee a little bit about your involvement with the team as well as what you have gained from that experience?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for mentioning that. The Hamden Academy mock trial team is part of a nationwide program Each state has high school mock trial teams. Those students participate not only as witnesses but also as attorneys doing opening statements and closing arguments. I've been the attorney coach for the Hamden Academy mock trial team for the past 8 years. I'm very proud to say that of those 8 years, 3 occasions, the Hamden Academy team represented the state of Maine in national competition. We went to Nashville, Tennessee, to Omaha, Nebraska, and to Minneapolis. And it is a remarkable experience to watch these young men and women take hold of the law and move it forward. And even more remarkable is to sit in a courtroom and to see grandparents and parents cheering on a cross-examination. That's very gratifying.
Were any of your 3 sons on those teams?
Yes, they were all on the team. My eldest son, Jack, was on the team that went to Nashville, and my second son, Patrick, was on the Nashville and Omaha team, and my third son, Christopher, was on the team that participated in Minneapolis and won a witness award, national witness award when he participated.
Yeah, how about that? He had good coaching. Now, since I had that same experience of coaching my son, I used to always get asked the question, were you tougher on them than all the other team members?
I have a great...
Maybe I ought to ask them.
I have a great respect for the Fifth Amendment, and I'll take it.
I understand. You have spent over 25 years as a successful advocate for your clients. What do you think is the biggest challenge you will face in your new role if you're confirmed as a district court judge?
I think making the transition from advocacy to a judicial bearing is always a challenge. Over the course of practicing law for numerous years, or 26 years, one of the benefits I've had the opportunity to engage in, along with many other practicing lawyers, is that we go from judge to judge to judge, and we see different judges, and we are able to try and determine what characteristics of a judge we feel would be appropriate. Those 3 characteristics that I feel most appropriate for a judge are legal competence, which we take as a given, common sense, and temperament. And those things I hope to bring to the bench if confirmed by the Senate.
Gentlemen, let me say to each of you individually and collectively, it's pretty obvious why you've been nominated for your respective judgeships, and you all possess obviously great legal experience and competence or you wouldn't be here, but you touched on something there, Mr. Woodcock, and that's temperament. And just from your response here today, I think each of you possess that necessary judicial temperance that we need to see more often from the bench than we sometimes do. I will tell you that you may receive written questions from other members of the committee. They have until 5 p.m. on Wednesday, May 28th to submit written questions, and if there are any, they will be submitted to you in short order following that. That being said, if there are no further questions or participations from anyone on the committee, we will stand adjourned. Thank you very much. I will issue a warning that we'll have order. The committee will stand in recess until the police can restore order. Everyone remain seated. I'm directing that the police restore order. Outside witnesses are welcome to submit letters supporting or opposing nominees for the committee's consideration, but it is not our usual procedure to invite outside witnesses to testify either in support or in opposition to the nomination. I realize this lady is disappointed that she's not able to make any statements this afternoon, but her disappointment in no way condones any disruption of this hearing. Again, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
This is episode number 4000 of A Chat with Glendora. The show will feature some great old clips from the past, as well as some new behind-the-scenes footage. Plus, we'll find out some things about Glendora that you might not already know. Stay tuned.
Hi there, everybody. This is Glendora, A Chat with Glendora. And Andrew Hersman is helping me celebrate my 4,000th TV show on public access, a half an hour each. It started in 1972 in Lackawanna, New York, which is a town south of Buffalo. And it's gone all the way up until now, 2004. And when I say 4,000 shows, that would be, it started out, of course, not one a week, but it's one a week now and more, and today I'm already on the 8th one this week. And last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, I did 9 editions, and a month ago I did 19, or was it 18? 18 and a half hours. That's how much information there is to get out to you, the public. Harold said to Bob, "I'm worried about my 4th daughter getting married." And Bob said, "Why?" And Harold says, "Well, on account of my 1st daughter married a man from Singleton, New Hampshire, and they had 1 child. And my 2nd daughter married a man from Twin Oaks, New Hampshire, and they had 2 children. And my 3rd daughter married a man from Three Rivers, Michigan, and they had 3 children." And Bob says, "So why are you worried about your 4th daughter?" And Harry says, "She's going with a man from the Thousand Islands." Now, it starts with this. I go here and buy these tapes, folks, for, just a second, I had to move them on account of the new computer moved in. I have to buy these tapes. First of all, you might like to see the ones that are done. These are the ones that have been done today. There's 5 copies of each edition, and as I say, that's 8 programs, and that's 8 editions, so that's 40 tapes that have been done, plus Cross River is the only TV system I'm on that has a chat with Glendora for 2 hours. Isn't it amazing what the public will stand? And so they get 2 Cross Rivers. They get Cross River 1 and Cross River 2, because I do this only every 2 weeks. Now, so I go over here, folks, I go to Walmart, and I buy packages of 10 tapes, and they're $8 and something, so that when I buy 4, it's approximately $39. I can buy 4 VHS, all 2 hours. And then I have to go over here, and I have to put on these labels on each one. I was telling Richard, see, I start this at 5:30 every other Saturday. If I don't start it at 5:30, I don't get it done. So I started at 5:30 and get it rolling before something happens. You know what the man down Maine said? He liked to get up at 5:30, and he was asked why, and he says, "Because I want to breathe the air before anybody else does." Now, so I label it there, and I labeled that upside down. That's good. And then this one on the back. All right. Now, see, this is the wiring I was telling you about. It comes through the 8mm. Oops. Let me get, it's okay, let me get the 8mm for you. This is a Sony. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful companion. True friend. Trustworthy. And it comes out of the Sony, and it goes into this first one, which is a Sanyo VCR. You can see the yellow. And then it loops from this Sanyo up to an Emerson, up to another Emerson, up to a second Sanyo, up to the Sony. And you got to give Sony credit. I don't like them because they've taken away the market so many times, but you got to give them credit. They make good products. Then to the 6th VCR, an Emerson, another Emerson, another Emerson, and another Emerson. And then the opening is played down here, folks. Right here. Oh, we might as well do that. This is just a demo now. This is not going to fly on the TV. Okay, we'll put, this is the one we're recording onto. Okay, and here's the opening. Now I have to cue it up. every time. You know, the most important interview I probably ever had was Robert C. Wright, and I pushed all the wrong buttons. Robert C. Wright, who's the chairman and chief executive officer of NBC Television, or NBC Network. And wouldn't you know, and I spelled my name wrong, but that's the way it always goes. All right, this is the opening. So now we will play it, and then you stand by to record over here. You want to see that button? This button right here. It's what you call a hard edit. You just press the button. That's a hard edit. First, I have some things here to tell you that was sort of amusing. My husband sings in the choir, and the director of the choir works for the state, and the state gave everybody a bonus. They gave him 2 days off. And so the soprano said, gee, you're wonderful, you know. He said, under what sign were you born? And the alto said, under the dollar sign. In 1987, I got a call from the David Letterman show. And they'd heard about A Chat with Glendora on cable TV, and they invited me to be a guest on it. And so the negotiations went on, and finally it happened, and it was in September, I believe, of 1987.
It's Late Night with David Letterman. Tonight, Susan St. James, cable talk show host, Glendora.
And I went, and Rob Reiner was there. He was one of the guests. And another woman was there, and she talked so much and so long that poor David didn't have time for A Chat with Glendora.
Glendora, who was supposed to be here tonight, will not be here tonight. She'll be here tomorrow night.
And so the next night I went, and Franklin, my husband, went with me, and he thought that David Letterman was very funny, and probably the best audience David Letterman ever had. And so we sat in the green room, and they caked makeup on me, which was just horrible. And then I went on the show.
Now, let's just bring out Glendora, shall we? Okay. My next guest believes in using television to spread her own special brand of happiness. She has made over 100 commercials. We have an example of one right here.
Hey, folks. How are you today? Just miserable, right? This is Glendora for delicious Worthington Veggie Links. Veggie Links by Worthington, folks, have no cholesterol. Delicious Veggie Links have fewer calories than regular hot dogs, and Veggie Links have no preservatives. I have no preservatives either. You see the wrinkles? Get your delicious Veggie Links at the Glendora Health Nook at...
No need to shop everywhere. Go straight to Twin Fair.
And her show, A Chat with Glendora, has featured guests like Robert C. Wright, the president of NBC. Folks, please welcome the happiness lady, Glendora. Hi, Glendora. How are you? Pleasure to see you. Please have a seat. Where are you from, Glendora? Where does this show take place? Where can people see this?
Oh, the Chat with Glendora?
Yeah.
You can see this on Manhattan Cable TV and Paragon Cable TV, and you can also see it in Westchester, where all the rich people live, United Artists Cable.
And from where does it originate?
Well, of course, we originated at Mr. Wright's office and at Madeline Smithberg's dressing room and at Mr. and the chairman of General Foods and the chairman of Nestle's. We originated in people's offices. Some people come to our home, David.
I see.
The chairman of Colgate Palmolive Pete came to our home.
How do you get all of these people?
At 7 a.m.
And I guess you were steamed, huh, that he was there so early?
Well, the thing that interested me about him, David, was that he did his own marketing research, and he went through all of our cupboards to see if we had any Colgate Palmolive products.
And what did the research turn up?
Zero.
Zero.
He didn't look under the sink cupboard where he would have found something. He didn't go into the bathroom cupboard. He really would have found something.
Now, tell me about the show. What is the format? When somebody tunes in, what do they see?
They see where were you born, where'd you go to school, what were your jobs,
What is your present work like, and what advice would you give a youngster to get started on such a career today?
So it's an interview show primarily?
Yes, that's what we asked Mr. Wright.
Yeah, a half-hour show, is it?
Yes, isn't it amazing what the public will stand?
And is it on once a week?
Yeah, oh yes.
And how many years have you been on the air?
Well, I've been on television 35 years, but that show's been on the air a year and 3/4.
Are you hoping that this particular show will maybe grow, perhaps expand, maybe get to a network status or a local TV station or something?
Well, I sort of doubt that.
You don't think that'll happen?
No.
Well, you sure have the wardrobe for it, you know. Now let's take a look. Show me some of the footage. This is Robert Wright, the president now of NBC. You know, how did you get this guy to be on the show? Because we've asked him for years and years.
Have you?
Now. Oh yeah, and he won't come on the show. How did you get him?
It must be my good looks, huh?
Yeah.
Except I did talk to him over the phone, so that wouldn't have helped. No, I figure this way, David. He's a nice man, and he does want to help the youth. And that's what this is all about.
He wants to help the youth.
Yeah, that's what this problem...
Have we heard anything about that? He wants to help the youth? Paul, did you hear anything about Robert Wright wanting to help the youth of this country?
Robert C. Wright?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to help the youth.
I think he just... I think he's just looking to balloon the stock prices. I think that's about all we're into here.
No, he's a very nice man.
Very nice man. All right, now let's take a look at a couple of seconds from his interview on your show, okay? We have that here? Yeah. Robert C. Wright and Glendora, helping the youth. It is a chat with Glendora.
And then we got General Electric acquired RCA. And then I came over from General Electric to become the president of NBC. And that's how I got here.
Oh, it's such an interesting career. And that's how you ended up in Fairfield, because I think General Electric's cable was centered in Fairfield, wasn't it?
Yes, I actually never worked in Fairfield.
Oh, you never did?
No, I've worked, most recently my office was in Stamford, Connecticut before I came here. Oh. Although I live in that area, but I didn't work there.
I see, yeah. This is Mr. Robert C. Wright, who is the president and chief executive officer of NBC. And he'll be back in just a second and tell you what his work is like, to see if you'd like to aim for that as a career. And then he'll also give you some ideas how to get started in broadcasting in today's world.
Yeah. It seems like you and he were dressed alike. Didn't he? You sort of have the same kind of look there. Now, I don't want to linger on this, but how did General Electric's acquisition of RCA, how did that ultimately help the youth of this country?
What helped the youth was Mr. Wright telling how he got started, because he was at the same point. Yeah, he was at the same point in his development as the youth who watch the program we hope are in theirs.
I see. Now tell me about your personal recipe for happiness. You're known as the happiness lady.
Well,
is that what they say?
No.
What do they call you?
Glendora.
Yeah.
And what did you say your name was?
I'm Dave. That'll be my last night.
You are a very good interviewer.
Well, thank you.
And I'm going to recommend you for a raise.
Thank you.
The recipe for happiness, David, is that there's one thing in this world that you can do better than anybody else. And if you will go by yourself, you will find out what that is. And you will do it, and you'll be happy. Now, if you don't do it, David, it's going to nag at you every second of your life.
So you find out what it is that you're good at.
No, the one thing that you can do better than anybody else.
The one thing you can do better than anyone else, and you just concentrate on that.
Yes, you do.
And then that'll make you happy.
Well, sure, because you'll get everything you want.
Yeah. And the Vegilinks, vegetable protein, no meat at all in here, right?
No meat.
Okay. All right. Well, geez, Glendora, good luck with the show.
Oh, thank you very much.
And I hope you can come back and see us again sometime.
Oh, we'd like to very much. Would that take 2 days or just one the next time?
I don't know. I don't know. Oh, that's right. You were supposed to be here last night. Okay. We have to go here now. We have other guests. But thank you very much. Nice to see you.
And down here, for instance, are Franklin's newspaper clippings. He was a newspaper reporter for 27 years, and he cut out every article that he wrote. And he pasted them all in 3-ring binders. And so that archive is preserved. And then over here are recent legal papers within the past year. These, if you can see, it says legal papers here, there, and right here. Where does it say legal papers? There, legal papers. Okay. And then there are, the clothes are over here.
the winter clothes. There's one that says bedding. CDs, music CDs that Franklin used to listen to. Think drawer. And over, we'll just go straight down what we call, see, this is a trailer, so let's see, this is the trailer goes this way, so this is the starboard side and this is the port. They have to use Long Island terms for Andrew came all the way up from Long Island. 1980 Lincoln, shop manuals. So you go down the starboard side. These are commercials that were sent to CNN in Atlanta. This is Glendora's mother and father, Franklin as a youth. Now we're over on the port side. This is a Cablevision. This certifies that Glendora is hereby awarded the certificate of completion for having successfully completed a Cablevision Access training workshop on this date, 18th day of August, 2000. That's all wrong. I completed it in 1983. This is Glendora at a CBS party in a posh place in Manhattan. Now over here is quite important. This is a very comfortable desk, and here is the index to the museum by column. Column 1. Box 1-1, box 1-2, box 1-3, box 1-4. And it goes all the way up to, there's 30, something like 30 columns, I think. And each column has about 6 drawers, 6 boxes. This is the last smile of Franklin. Our friend took him for a ride in his flashy red convertible. Isn't that sweet? Wow. And he had a baseball cap that said baseball fan on it. Oh, here's Franklin and Bob Hope. That's kind of nice. Oh, yeah. Here is a chat with, no, this is, my first TV show was Glendora and Her Picture Party. It was a kid show because I wanted to start out small. And this is, the next one was the SS Glendora. It was a ship. And I was the skipper, and the kids were the sailors, and I said SS stood for steamship, and they said, no, it stands for stupid show.
In '76, the International Convention will be over in England.
It will?
And we're hoping that we get the opportunity to go.
On the 200th anniversary of the freedom of the United States, they're going to have their anniversary in England?
We'll have to see about that.
Well, boys and girls, it's a great privilege tonight to bring to you Mr. Charles Dolan. And he's one of the pioneers of cable. Charles, just tell us, first of all, where were you born?
Cleveland, Ohio.
You were, really?
Right.
I didn't know that you were born in the Midwest. And then you grew up where? There?
In Cleveland, stayed in Cleveland until 1952.
52?
Right, then moved to New York.
And moved to New York.
Right.
And where'd you go to school, Charles?
In Cleveland at Cleveland Heights High School and John Carroll University.
Did you really?
Right.
Bob Hope comes from Cleveland.
Yeah, yes, he does. I know that. He was born in London, but the family is from Cleveland. Right.
For sure. And after that, what was your first job out of school?
I was given a job on one of the local newspapers, the Cleveland Press.
Oh, you were?
Right. Yeah. So I was paid $2 a week to write a column about the activities of the Boy Scouts. Right.
Well, that's all right. That's a good way to start out. And then your next job?
Then I worked for a radio station in Cleveland.
And doing what?
Also writing commercials and producing programs.
Yeah,
right.
that was fun.
It was indeed. I enjoyed it.
Was this right out of high school? Or?
Well, actually, while I was going to high school.
While you were going to high school?
Right, I'd go to school in the morning and then take the bus downtown to the radio station.
Well, I think that's terrific. It was an early start. And then what did you do after that next job?
Well, we started a little newsreel about sports. This is when television itself was beginning in 1950.
That's right.
And we sold that to television stations around the country. But we didn't do it too well, I guess, because we ran out of money.
The church had a Bible selling contest, and Edward sold more Bibles than anybody else. And Edward stuttered. So they wanted to know how he did it. And this is how he did it. He would say to a person, do you
Bible, or do you want me to read it to you? And this fella, you know, he loved to get out into the sun, and he'd put on suntan lotion, you know, every day. So this day he went out and he didn't have any suntan lotion at all, and he went out in the sun and he used Crisco oil, you know, instead of suntan lotion, and he got a beautiful tan. It was just beautiful. So ever since, my mother called him the Crisco Kid. We're on 6th Avenue now, and we're at HBO, and this is Mr. Jeff Bucas, and he's the Chief Financial Officer. Jeff, where were you born?
In Patterson, New Jersey.
Oh, you were really?
Yes.
I like Patterson on Route 46, right?
That's right.
And then you went to school where?
Went to school in every public school in New Jersey, and finally clawed my way out here to New York, where I landed at HBO.
And did you go to college, Jeff?
Yes, I did. I went to Yale.
You, oh, hooray!
Yes.
Eli, bow, wow, wow. I was down in Boston, folks, and I wanted to go from Boston to Newton, I think it was. And I had to go by taxi cab. And my goodness, we got out there, we were looking for Channel 5, the new Channel 5, and this taxi cab driver, he's driving us all around, and he didn't know where it was. And I was getting panic struck because the meter was up to $8. And, you know, I think if you don't know where it is and you're a taxi cab driver, you stop, you know, and you stop the meter. And then you find it, you know. I don't think you should charge the person. I tried to tell him that, but he wouldn't listen. And I says, well, then will you please take me to downtown Newton, where I can find a local cab and get out to Channel 5. And he says, all right, I'll do that. But he didn't even know where the local cab was. So we're driving down this main street in Newton, and I looked over there, and I says, there's a local cab. Take me over there. And this car pulled up alongside of me, and oh, before I saw it, that was it, folks, before I saw where the local cab was, this car had pulled up side of us at a light, and I desperately rolled down the window, and I hollered out the window to the driver in the next car, and I says, can you please tell me where I can get a cab? And of course he began to laugh, because there I was sitting in a cab, you know. The taxi cab pulled up to the curb, and the woman got out. And she says to the cabbie, how much do I owe you? And the cabbie says, nothing, ma'am, you did all the driving. Here's hats. Everybody wants to know where you keep your hat.
Oh, look at that. Purple one?
Yeah. And here's a nice St. Patrick's Day one.
That's fantastic.
Oh, there's lots of
the hat collection.
Ah! Oh, thank heaven.
How convenient is that?
Yeah, here you are, hon. There's a good look at them. That's a bunch of archives.
Wow.
Well, let's pull one of them and see what date we're talking about here. This would be...
Oops, upside down. There we go.
Well, it's better that way.
2/1/95.
95?
Yeah, 1995.
February 1995. 4 programs on the tape. And I didn't want to throw anything away because, for sure, the first thing you throw away, you're going to want it the next week.
Of course.
And so I didn't want to throw away. And I saw a trailer, tractor trailer going down the street, and I said, that's what we need, something that big. Okay, yes, that would definitely do it. That would hold everything, nothing would have to be thrown away. So the problem was, well, where are you going to find one? Guess what? You open the yellow pages, storage trailers for rent, storage office trailers for rent. And so that made it very easy, and I called up and they were renting them for about $85 a month. And then the next problem is, where do you find the land to put it on? And so I put up a little flyer. And I said that Glendora would like to have land to put her storage trailer on. Mm-hmm. And I put up here and there, and a nice man called up, and he thought he was just a person, but he had a few complicating problems with the land that he owned as far as the town was concerned. But he put me in touch with this fellow here, and you can see the expanse of this man's property. And he called me up right away, and he says, I'll rent your place for $75. This man is a multi-millionaire. His name is Bob Cohen, and he is a multi-millionaire. And he owns Amanda's Fireplace. Mm-hmm. And it amused me when I called him up in the wintertime that he had gone to Florida for the winter. And I said, Bob Cohen has 150 fireplaces and he goes to Florida to get warm? And so
he rented it to me for $75, and then I said, Bob, do you think I should own the storage trailer, or do you think I should rent it? He says, definitely own it. I said, where do you buy one? He says, here, take this magazine. He made me all kinds of copies of the ads. He says, call up these ads. Well, the man I liked the best was in Rhode Island, because he was working on a Saturday. His name is Tony Pier Pauli. Pier Pauli. That is Peter Paul in Italian.
Right.
And I was very impressed with him. And he wanted to come up the next day. $1,600 is what he wanted for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the answer.
There you go.
And he came and he placed it.
Amazing.
And I've talked to him since. I've talked to him about the problem, how do you hang things on aluminum and things like that. But that's how it evolved, and I think that's kind of interesting. And
oh, yeah.
I left out one step. I found somebody with a shed that the previous owner of her house had made, and it was an exceptional shed. It was better than ones you would buy. And so that was the first museum. That was the little museum. And we carried over the heavy stuff. But on November 4th, Election Day, by the way, the trailer arrived about October 16th of the year 2003. But on Election Day, sweet man named Joseph, it's a nice Italian name, Salamone. On Election Day, he came up and he brought all of the stuff from, he was Debbie's boyfriend. But I rented it from him. He brought up all of the stuff in his van.
Wow.
And he placed it all on November 4th. And he built those steps.
Really?
I didn't have any steps. And he just picked up cinder blocks that were lying around his property. Now I have a problem with this, but if I turn this perpendicular, this was sort of funny. This is for the ladies. You know, I live in Buffalo, and they pick up the rubbish on Friday. And I had the rubbish all ready, you know, up in the kitchen, you know, ready to go down. I had it all in these great big green plastic bags, you know, ready to go. And they came early. The rubbish men came early, and I ran to my husband. I says, quick, quick. I says, the rubbish men are coming. And so we went out of the house, you know, with all this rubbish, and we got it out on the street. And the men came in the truck, and gee, the kitchen looked wonderful, you know. And then I knew there was something wrong. I had the laundry in one of those green bags. Nancy Nevins, now if anybody wants to join Sweet Adelines, and I should think every woman would, just come down to the Methodist Church in South Glens Falls.
That's right on Main Street here. Every Wednesday night at 7:30 we meet. And we welcome anybody from any place. If they live in any areas where we are, we would be very glad to pick them up.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, we have a couple in Los Angeles, California.
None of us come from Los Angeles, do we?
No, folks, it's very easy to find. You go to the junction of routes 9 and 22, and it's 1 block from there, isn't it? Just about.
Just about, yeah. Yes.
At the Methodist Church in South Glens Falls. Well, it's really great. Now, I think you wanted to tell us that, what was it, the important point you wanted to make?
Well, I think that lots of people think the barbershop harmony is confined to certain songs, which now, I guess at one time maybe it was. But nowadays, we have many fine arrangers. And in our cause, we have an up-and-coming arranger, Judy Dwyer. Judy is right. Oh!
I'm reviewing for the Judge Fox conference. Let me show you that pile. This is Glendora versus Bob Magnus, and this is a case of Bob Magnus, who died at 72 a couple of weeks ago, of robbing us of our TV editing facilities. And it's a free speech case, because if you don't have editing facilities to take my 8mm tape and put it on to 3/4 inch, which is the only format that this dumb TCI will play, then you can't get your message to the public, and you have a First Amendment right to hear that message. So it's out-and-out censorship, out-and-out violation of free speech, reckless disregard for federal rights. Are 5 letter briefs to Mark Fox. I don't know why Mark Fox won't recuse himself. I guess he's a sadist. And that reminds me of something else. The grievance has come. The decision on the grievance, my grievance against Mark Fox to the United States Court of Appeals has been decided and has come back. And I am writing what I think of that. And that would be to the Chief Judge, John Newman. And this is a grievance that you make against a judge because that judge is interfering with the efficient operation of the courts. And Mark Fox certainly did that. The next grievance is going to be either about William Connor, and there may be one against Charles L. Bryant. No, that's very good. We have covered the logs of all of the cases. There's not much news on the landlord-tenant case. This place is really a nice location and a good domicile. You remember how I fought that? I fought that for 3 years. But eventually, good won. That was a landlord-tenant case and a neighbor-to-neighbor fight case, inconsiderate neighbors. And I bet you got that problem too. Remember to donate to remember to donate to tenants, Neighbors and Tenants Association. Now my idea about TCI is to ask Time Warner if they want to be an amici curiae on my appeal of Rakoff's rotten Veterans Day decision. Rakoff says it's okay to take a public channel and put commercials on it. That's what he said. It's okay. That's okay. The United States Court of Appeals cannot affirm that ruling and say it's okay to put commercials on a public channel and at the same time affirm the decision of Judge Cote, who said, Giuliani, you can't put commercials on a public channel. So I got in touch with Richard D. Parsons, who is the president of Time Warner, and at the time I knew Parsons, he was the president of a bank. What bank? Was it the Dime Bank or some bank? And he lives up here in Mechanical Hills, up where the Rockefellers live. And he was on a chat with Glendora in 1988, as was Gerald Levin, the CEO of Time Warner. And so my idea is to get in touch with Richard Parsons, and I left a message on his recorder Sunday afternoon. And we'll see what happens. I shall pursue him vigorously. That's a good idea. Because they can't have it both ways. A court can't have a schizophrenia psychosis. They can't rule on the same issue 2 different ways. You know, folks, prima facie, judges do stupid things. But if you push them and you stand up to them and you keep appealing, they, in their immaturity and ignorance and arrogance, force themselves into the most ridiculous positions. And this case of Glendora versus Andrew J. DiPaolo John A. Cahill. DePaulo is a justice of the Supreme Court, Nassau County. John A. Cahill is the clerk of the appellate term, Supreme Court of the Supreme Court of the State of New York, 9th and 10th Judicial Districts. Vincent Martusiello is a criminal clerk, I think, in that court. And Thomas B. Stark is a justice of the Supreme Court of the State of New York in Suffolk County. And Robert James Friedman is a White Plains city judge. And James Stead, number 120, is a White Plains police officer. And Joseph W. Hannenberry is the Assistant Corporation Counsel for the City of White Plains. And New York State Court Officer Denise, number 3146, is what I said, a New York State Court Officer. There's not much you can say for them. And Helene N. Marcovici is a court stenographer. Well, quickly how this all happened is that Stead on Martin Luther King Day, June 15th, 1996 this year, said that I went through a red light, and I didn't, and he's lying. And so I went to the White Plains City Court to protect my rights, and Judge Friedman was crooked, and Hannenberry, the Corporation Counsel, was crooked, and Stead lied all the way through a 2-hour trial, and Marcovici wanted $500 for the minutes, and Friedman buddy-buddied with the Corporation Counsel and with the cop, not forsaking his oath of office. The court officer knocked us around and took away our right to record our trial. You know, we have a right to record our trial. But of course they don't want you to hear it. That's why they won't let you record it. So our rights were robbed. I was robbed of due process. I had a videotape of Stead giving out the ticket. And Hannenberry and Stead and Friedman wouldn't allow the evidence to be shown. That's a denial of the Fifth Amendment and the 14th Amendment. So here's all this denial of rights. And I asked the appellate term since I can't pay $500 for the minutes on a $100 traffic fine, motor vehicle fine, going through a red light, I asked them to declare me a poor person, and the state gets the minutes for something like, you know, $1.37 a page instead of what rip-off court stenographer Marcovici was charging me, $5 a page. Such a rip-off. The whole court is an industry, a crooked industry. And it's really ridiculous, isn't it? And so the appellate term would not declare me a poor person, and they had somebody had a rubber stamp, no signature on the order. They did everything wrong, and they violated my due process. So there's two courts violated. Of all people, a court should deny due process. Okay, so I took a whole bunch of them that I just read to you to the United States District Court and sued them for violation of my constitutional rights. And so the Chief Judge of the United States District Court, Southern District of New York, who is Thomas P. Grisey, it's really Griesa, but he wants you to pronounce it Grisey, so you won't pronounce it greasy, I guess. He dismissed the complaint with nothing heard. No jury, no testimony, no witnesses, no discovery, no evidence. He just up and dismisses it. And then he says you can't appeal it because it's frivolous. So as I say, if you push these judges and push them and keep pushing for the justice that's given to you by the United States Constitution and the Congress of the United States and the common law, if you push these judges, they get themselves so ridiculous, it's incredible. And now I made a motion to Grisey, Rule 60B, for relief from his order, his judgment. That took away, he closed the case just like that, and that took away the closing of the case and took away his judgment and turned his judgment into a motion. And actually it comes out to be a 59E motion because I filed it within 10 days of his rotten decision. All right. So, in the mail on Friday, I get a screwball order You won't believe this. All right, let me go from the top. I guess that's the best way to do it. This is the latest paper on it. I've given you the synopsis, which is unbelievable. As I say, God didn't send me to court to get justice because God knows there isn't any justice in the courts. God sent me to court to expose this. Affirmation of plaintiff appellant that defendants appellees have told two more lies, that Chief Judge T.P. Grisey rule on Glendora's Rule 60B motion and stop stonewalling her Second Circuit appeal of his order of October 16, 1996. Point 1. This is Pearl Harbor Day, a day that will live in infamy, as will defendants' appellees' violations of due process and statutes and civil rights and constitutionally secured rights. Point 2. Regardez, s'il vous plaît, what Glendora received yesterday, December 6, 1996, Friday noon, by first-class U.S. mail. Believe me, none of these people are first-class U.S. mails, spelled M-A-L-E. It's from the appellate term, 9th and 10th Judicial Districts, so-called Supreme Court of the state of New York, and there are the judges. The people of the state of New York, this is all over a traffic conviction. And notice having been given pursuant to Rule 732B, B, and C of this court, and the said appeal having been placed on special day calendar of this court on November 19, 1996 for dismissal, and no enlargement of time to perfect the appeal having been granted, it is ordered that the said appeal is dismissed. The above name, okay. Ordered that the said appeal is dismissed. All right, now here's what's wrong with this, folks. The first lie in the paper, reproduced herein, is in a cascade of lies since January the 15th, 1996, starting instead, is November 19th, 1996. Glendora was never notified her appeal was placed on special day calendar of this court on November 19th, 1996 for dismissal. Glendora received no notice of same, not by mail, not by telephone, not by smoke signal. This is another abacus offense of apostrophe operation of this court by this court, which is Glendora's cause of action against two of its clerks and two of its judges. The order might make baccalaureate, but never Juris Doctor. The viscid breakdown of justice worsens instead of getting better. The second lie is that September 16th, Andrew DiPaolo and law clerk Bonanni told Glendora the appeal was up for dismissal in January 1996. Glendora has a witness of same and has it on audio tape of same. Herein, Glendora draws judicial attention to pages 142 to 153 of her complaint of October 6, 1996. Judge Grisey, Chief Judge of the United States District Court, Southern District of New York, you have had in your phalanges since October 20th, 1996, Glendora's Rule 60B motion for relief from judgment, actually because Glendora got our motion in before 10 days after your 10/16/96 decision. Her paper is in actuality a 59E motion. This means your judgment was changed from a judgment to a motion and that her case is not closed as you so hastily and unjustly tried to close it. The pro se clerk tells Glendora the processing of her appeal is being held in abeyance, waiting for your ruling on the 59E motion. Now that is just plain stonewalling. Last month, November 1996, Glendora filed a Rule 60B motion before C.L. Bryant, Glendora versus Cablevision, 93 Civ 38. It's 8344. And a notice of appeal. The appeal is in the works and has a docket number as of yesterday. Now returning to the atrocious reductio ad absurdum of the appellate term received yesterday, Glendora notes again, there is no judge's signature, hence the order is defective and void prima facie. They lied just as did Officer Stead, who started this, followed by the lies of Henneberry and Friedman. An American citizen's right to appeal was violated by DiPaolo, Stark, Cahill, Martusiello by their lying. Glendora was not in forma pauperis. a poor person and could not pay $500 for minutes for a $100 red light fine. Falsely charged and falsely adjudicated, Stead and Friedman further fraudulently and greedily prevented by a crooked court stenographer, Marco Vici. Glendora's lawsuit shows court malfunctioning and corruption and dereliction of oath and duty, particeps criminis on 3 levels, city, state, and federal. Fait accompli, told in fatality to the purpose that was won, that started 55 years ago today, Pearl Harbor. Further, defendants are in default pursuant to Federal Rules of Civil Procedure 4555 and the local rules and general rules of the Southern District of U.S. District Court. Praxis of these 3 courts is made sforganzo by Glendora's lawsuit, which Chief Judge Grisey vulgated frivolous. Your infidelity to oath is impeachment. Who is your Camarilla, all of you? Is it time you acted as officers of the courts? You are a disgrace to your country. Wherefore, plaintiff appellant Glendora requests the appellate term correct its lies, reverse its order, follow the laws, and that U.S. District Judge T.P. Grisey stop stonewalling, decide the 59E, Rule 60B motion, and cease the holdup of Glendora's appeal in the Second Circuit, that costs of this motion be taxed against defendants, appellees, and that Glendora be awarded any further and different relief that is just and proper, executed White Plains, New York on December 7th, Pearl Harbor. And this is what Stead has cost me with his lying about my going through a red light. 199 hours times $250 an hour, which is what these monopolistic lawyers get, is $49,750 worth of legal labor, $279.38 in printing, postage, gas, no utilities included, 1 volume, 475 pages of crooked police, lying lawyers, and corrupt judges and clerks, greedy court stenographers, and hood New York State court officers. 8 TV reports on their traitorship to America, January the 15th to December the 15th, 1996, equal 11 months, age of this case and its injustice. Well, Franklin just came back from the United States District Court, Southern District of New York, 300 Quaropus, that's Indian for White Plains Street, and they got it all mixed up again. Every time they do this, once you're an IFP for a case, you're an IFP all through the case. And when an IFP simply means is that you don't pay the fees. And so when it comes to a notice of appeal, which takes $110, I believe, no, $105 no fee, you don't pay it because you're in forma pauperis. And so Lorraine went and asked Mike, and Mike doesn't know either. And so I said to them just now, I said, I have said to the pro se clerk downtown, you don't know how many times I've told the White Plains clerks this. They get it wrong every time, and you know what the pro se clerk said to me? You don't know how many times we've told them. All right. So Franklin has gone back to file a notice of appeal, Glendora versus Malone, of the traitorship to his country by Jed S. Rakoff, that it's okay for Malone to take a public channel and put commercials on it. Okay, I didn't really have time to tell you that, and you probably don't have time to listen. I wanted to get on to some announcements. What this project is, it's a last will and testament. I hate it. First of all, I don't want to leave, and 2, I don't want to give away all my things. But you have to do it to keep it out of the hands of crooked judges. And Nolo has a self-help book, How to Make a Will so that you don't have to be raked in by a lawyer, a crooked lawyer. And so Franklin read the book, and he found out how to make out a will. And these are all the compartments on it. I'll get on the microphone there, and I'll come over to see you. I wish I could show you Oscar Bryant, but he's deep asleep at my feet. He's a very chummy little kitty. So on a project like this, folks, the way to do it, you start out and you compart it. So Franklin read the book, 1/4 of an hour a day. Now that's all, 15 minutes a day. And this is the log. You start keeping a log of the time it took you and what day it is, and what you did that day. So you keep the log and you add up your hours. And you can see that so far we have spent 16¼ hours and $2.05 on copying. And then you make an inventory of everything you own. This is really a self-help book for you. You don't even have to go read the NOLO book. Well, maybe you do to get this form, because I can't send it to you. And you make an inventory, and then you start the typing of it. What are these, the forms? I don't know. Let's go on to the orange tab. Yeah, and then you write it out in longhand first, okay? And this is from the NOLO book, the self-help book. And then you sit down and type it, and that's what Franklin's been doing the past 2 or 3 days. This was all accomplished on 15 minutes a day. I don't know how many months it was, but the log would tell you a couple months maybe. And you see all of the property is listed here, and as to whom you leave it, I've left blank. That's going to take a great deal of thinking to find out whom I want to leave it to. And I think it's done, and it looks to me like it's only 6 pages long. That's mine. Now Franklin has to do his.
Hi, Glendora. I would love one of your happy books if you send one to me. My name is Molly St. John, and I live at 31 Union Square West, apartment 7A, New York, New York, 10003.
That came from Manhattan Cable TV, and it must have had the Long Island number on it. There were 16 messages Friday night, December 13th, 1996.
Friday, December 13th. What?
Yeah, Glendora, this is Brian Suscanelli. Message 5:49 p.m. Wednesday, December 11th. Message 6:50 p.m. Wednesday, December 11th. Message 6:53 p.m. Wednesday, December 11th. Message 7:27 p.m. Wednesday, December 11th. And I hope the view was good. I'm Glendora, Pure calling.
Ron Pure.
The Charlie guy gets back to you. At any rate, I can be reached at 203-743-3333. Hope you and Franklin are well, and I'll talk to you soon. It's Wednesday about 7:30 p.m. Bye-bye. Message 6:10:02 a.m. Thursday, December 12th. Hello, Glendora. I love your joke. This is Julie Gambino. I got your message last night, honey. I would have been there today, but I'm having a problem with my heat in my house. I had the man here last week, and now I got to bring him on over. He's going to be here today about noontime. And I had to be here to wait for him, okay? But I love you, and if you give me a little bit more notice, I'll definitely be there whenever you need me, honey. I love you, and you're doing a great job. Keep me in mind. I love you. Bye. End of messages. Answer off.
Drawer, there are 2 legal papers. One is the Federal Judicial Center to read the publications that were sent to me. I'm trying to get one of them out here. The Manual for Litigation Management, Cost and Delay Reduction Plan. There's another one in there to be read. And then the New York statutes, which is these two great big volumes, and I have finished reviewing up through the New York State Business Corporation Law and the complaint against Cablevision for violating the New York State Business Corporation Law is written. So that's two legal papers that have to be done every day. Thank heaven they've both been done for today. I'm going to take you in. This file is Cablevision, half of it, and half of it is Continental. This is Cablevision, this is Cablevision, this is Cablevision, and there's another Cablevision down in the cellar. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 file drawers. This one is that crook, John Malone, file box 1, file box 2, file box 3. This one over here is Continental Cablevision, file box 1. Living room. We have a curtain here that the cat's knocked down and has to be put up again. That'll be the third one this weekend. Here is the crookedness of one Barbara S. Jones, United States District Judge, Southern District of New York. You will hear. Half file drawers. This one is that crook, John Malone, file box 1, file box 2, file box 3. This one over here is Continental Cablevision, file box 1. Living room. We have a curtain here that the cat's knocked down and has to be put up again. That'll be the third one this weekend. Here is the crookedness of one Barbara S. Jones, United States District Judge, Southern District of New York. You will hear a whole lot more about that. That is the file on Glendora versus Magnus. Three-ring notebooks. And I'm going through that, and I'm up to the last notebook. Here is the Glendora versus... Take this back, folks. Correction. This is Glendora versus Telecommunications, a censorship case. This one is Glendora versus Magnus, when they Magnus robbed us of our TV editing, local public access TV editing. This is a little cat who was very happy in my mother's olive green swivel chair. And this is the great, wonderful tree. Today when we set up, we have to shoot from an angle where we don't get the window, because you get nothing but a silhouette. And let's look at Oscar Cat. This is Oscar Bryant. It's the middle of December, so he was 4 months old now. 4 months old. Born in the middle of August. Franklin's getting ready to do the mailing and the notarizing. Today is December 16th, 1996. Monday. We have to set up to videotape. Videotape on Mondays, edit on Tuesday, and edit on Wednesday. I believe that this is a Chat with Glendora, program number 2,242. And the geometry teacher, the math teacher, was trying to teach the kids, a hopeless endeavor, trying to teach the kids pi r square. And Joni says, no, pi are not square, pi are round. And there are 3 ways, folks, that men can wear their hair. Parted, unparted, and departed. And Anthony used to shampoo with Head and Shoulders. Now he uses Mop and Glow. What's the biggest thing that happened on Cablevision this week? I don't know, but I know of one very, very big thing, and I will have to go get it for you. Here it is. This is Glendora versus Cablevision, lawsuit number 6. Glendora, shareholder plaintiff, versus The Board of Directors of Cablevision System Corporation, its chairman Charles F. Dolan and its CEO James L. Dolan, and its officers and management defendants. Complaint, jury trial demanded. It is 56 pages. This action is against Cablevision for violating a New York statute, which is called the New York State Business Corporation Law. This statute was written by no other than Nelson Rockefeller when he was governor of the Empire State. You know, of course, about the New York statutes. The Consolidated Law Service is something like 40 volumes. The McKinley's is something like, they're thinner volumes, but it's something like 90 volumes. And Consolidated Law Service and McKinney's are usually the two. I have been 2 months writing this lawsuit number 6 against Cablevision, and I've been 2 years researching it. It began with my compulsion, or good sense, I would say, to read the New York statutes. And this New York Business Corporation Law is about the 6th or 7th statute or chapter, and it's about the 3rd or 4th volume of the Consolidated Law Service. And so the complaint is written. It finally is written. And it's more than 56 pages because there's something like 20 pages where I included the proxy statement, which tells how much money Charles Dolan makes, how much money John Tata makes, how much money William Quinn makes, and also it reveals the rather convoluted tie-ins with other people and things that really have to have a lot of explanation, and they've given a lot of explanation because there's so many deals, and they're given a lot of explanation in the proxy statement for the sake of the Securities Exchange Commission, and whether one can believe all this or if this is all that is there are 2 rather haunting questions. What were all the lawsuits against Cablevision? The first one was when Cablevision, I hired them to edit a videotape, a commercial, Glendora TV ads. I hired them to edit it and get it ready for to put on TV. And in doing so, Chuck Goslin erased one of my commercials, a master, for Channel 7, WABC TV. And so I sued him for that, and I sued him for the minimum, $200, to replace that commercial. I didn't sue him for the work that they cost me. And that was the first one. The second was with Glendora versus Cablevision, when they took the program off of TV because they didn't like the fact I was telling the truth about the politicians. The third one was that same cause of action, but in the state court instead of the federal court. And the fourth one was that same cause of action, and it had to be filed in the district court, again because Judge Bryant ignored the law. No cable operator should exercise editorial control over public use of channel. The fifth one was Dolan, Tata, Quinn et al. Were given $70 each, $350 total, to come to trial, Glendora's trial of these people. The trial was stayed, another crooked move of the courts, and they didn't have to come, but instead of returning the money, they kept it. The billionaires kept it. That's how hard up they are. That was what, number 5, yes, and this one is number 6. Would you like to know what number 7 is going to be? Number 7 is going to be the censorship of A Chat with Glendora when the audio was turned off on October 4th, 1996. What's going to happen to that lawsuit? Okay, I go to Hop Hog. I file the lawsuit, I file the complaint there in the informa pauperis application. And from there, it goes to the pro se clerk, and the pro se clerk gets it assigned to a judge, and it goes to the marshals, the United States Marshals, and they do the service of the complaint. That's a very good thing that the United States has for a pro se informa pauperis. The United States Marshals, Congress has legislated, shall do the service. And you don't fool around with service by the United States Marshals. You know, it's nice to have a marshal come up to your door and say, I'm a United States Marshal, you are served. So that's one thing. Now let me burrow down and get the stats for what Cablevision has cost us this past week. First, I must tell you about reading the New York statutes. Here is my first volume of notes and copies of the New York statutes, and this goes into the CPLR. Now that's about volume 4A, 4B, all the way down through volume 4, M or N, OP. And the CPLR is the Civil Practice Laws and Rules. And that, of course, is the most famous New York statute. That's the one that you hear quoted ad infinitum. And so, and then the next volume, finishes the CPLR and goes onward and forward into the New York statute. And since I have been doing this lawsuit on the New York Business Corporation law against Cablevision, I haven't had time to keep up with my reading of the New York statutes, 15 minutes every day. So I am going to, rather than to review any more, I'm just going to continue going through the whole thing. The first time through, I've gone through, I would say, half of it. And so now I'm going to pick up. And I hope to have time to get to some of this by the time I talk to you next week. Trying to see. I know that I finished the CPLR. I read it all. Statutes and statistics. Before I can reach the statistics, I have to go through this file with you. This is the Access Manager's Handbook. Okay, now I had to return that to the Huntington Library, and the Huntington Library did a wonderful job finding that book. It was listed as being in interlibrary loan with the Long Island libraries, but it was supposed to be at Smithtown, and it wasn't. And so you got to give the Huntington Library a lot of credit. They went to the New York State Library and they found the book, and I had to hand it back in. I haven't finished it, and it's a wonderful book. The Public Access Manager's Handbook. The next person to take it out, of course, is going to be Rick Heinhorn, because he wants to start a non-profit corporation to run the public access and get Cablevision out of it, because that's what the law says, that the franchisors shall have a non-profit organization run the public access, and while they're waiting to get the same, they'll let the cable company run it. I haven't done my reading 15 minutes a day of Michael Zamuta's book, How to Operate the Chiron. Michael discovered that these instructions I had were for the Chiron that's in Lynbrook, and I'm using the Chiron that's in Hicksville, and it's a VP2. And so no wonder I was having a little problem with those instructions. Okay. The editing is going great in Hicksville. It's a great privilege. I thank Cablevision for it. The Chiron is still exasperating. It's always beeping at you. But I think I made a little progress in mastering it on December the 9th. I go out, no, it must have been the 10th, on Tuesday. I go out again next Tuesday, and I'm booked for a year to edit there every Tuesday from 10:30 in the morning. And I love the kitchen. and want to draw your attention to this young man, Rit Goldberg, and he has a very, very good cause. Who is going to police the police? The police do a lot of things that are wrong. And I'm talking about all police. Village, town, city, county, and state. They have to be policed. Some of them are dishonorable, and some of them break the laws. And as I've said to you many, many times, where do you go when the White Plains Police break the law? Where do you go? I'd like to give you Rit Goldstein's number. It's 203-791-8454. 203-791-8454. Hello, Oscar Cat. Are you going to come before the people? Yes, you should be on every program so that the people can see how handsome. What a big, handsome boy cat you are growing into being. Here you are, 4 months old, Oscar Cat. 4 months old. Isn't he handsome, folks? Here, let me show him to you. Look to the peoples. Here, look to the peoples. And there he is biting. He's the cat that bites the hand that feeds him. He named Dean. Dean. Suit going against Judith Kay. And it's about the mishandling of pro ses in the New York State courts. He is going to send a paper to me, and I'm going to add 1 page as an intervener. Oh, you're so cute hiding in the drawer. You're such a cute little kitten. If you're asleep. Recent Cablevision file is volume 46. And it starts out with Dolan, Tata, and Quinn stealing the subpoena money. And it starts in April of '96. It's not bad. It's silly to have a lawsuit go on for 3 years. If they were smart, they'd say, okay, we know we did wrong. They've been convicted of doing wrong. Let's settle this and let's make amends. And let's get on with our lives. That's what they should do. I was looking for the stats, the statistics. To do the filing paginating on Cablevision the week of December the 9th. So we don't have the latest figures. And in this file, you look for a flag that says this file is in order up to here, and it gives you the last date. This is the week of December the 2nd. That's pretty old. Let's find the week of December the 9th. Still searching. There were 44 calls on a chat with Glendora on Friday night, December the 6th. 44 calls, and I told you that set a record. Last Friday night, December the 13th, Friday the 13th, there were only 16 calls. So that's quite a drop down. Well, those statistics aren't here, and they should be. I wonder what has happened. At the beginning of December 9th week, the Cablevision law-breaking, lying, and covering up for 3 years has cost me $8,046.95. $8,046.95 in print, postage, legal fees. I'm talking about court filing fees and rip-off court stenographers. The number of hours it has cost us out of our lives is 3,000. Remember, $8,000 and 3,807 hours, that's almost 4,000 hours. And you take every hour and you multiply it by $250, that's what the lawyer monopoly gets and rips the public off for. Comes out to $951,750 in legal labor they have cost us. That's almost $1 million. There have been something like 358 mailings, 3 years of betraying their country, violating their country's laws, federal laws, and also the state of New York. And I think this is about the 304th or 5th television program, 47 volumes, and 15,000 pages of law-breaking, lying, and covering up by Dolan, Tata, Quinn, et al. Of December, and this is the return date for a crooked lawyer for Cablevision named Robert M. Callaghan, who lives in Rye, New York. This is the day for him to come up with the $120 for the videotape he ordered of the audio tape conversation the night that Cablevision called up, Armistice Day, 1993, and said they weren't going to cablecast the program anymore. And of course they didn't want the reports that I was giving about the politicians to get to you, the public. So this motion, return date, oh no, it's December 20th, 1996, 9 a.m. That's Friday, or soon thereafter as plaintiff can be heard. Okay, I read you that. Give me the $120. You ordered the audio tape. I made the audio tape, and you've never paid for it, and Judge Bryan has ordered Cablevision 6 times to pay that money. And Cablevision's really in a bad way. They can't come up with $120, even when they stole $350 from us. Subpoena money. This is something I have to deal with after Judge Bryant makes sure I get my $120. He says leave to appeal in former paupers is granted, although the appeal has no merit. If Justice Silverman is affirmed in pending state appeal, this case may be resolved. Well, you know it's crooked. You know that Bryant is trying to do me out of my trial of the Cablevision lawbreakers Dolan, Tata, and Quinn. So we'll have to take care of that and refute that and protest it and get it into the record. The record on this case is approximately, well, the screen isn't long enough. You need a wide-angle lens. But it's, each file in the district court is this big. And of course it's been in the United States Court of Appeals 3 or 4 times, and it's in the United States Court of Appeals now. But each file is this big, and there's about 7 of them. Newest thing here is that I did what Bryant told me to do, even though it's a foolish thing to do, was to appeal Judge Silverman's decision of October 3rd, 1996, saying that he didn't have jurisdiction over the case, that it was up to the Public Service Commission. And so I applied informer paupers, poor person they call it in the state court, no fee, and it was stamped no fee. My notice of appeal was sent down, otherwise it would have cost $50. And so then I think it's all over. And I get a letter from Martin Brownstein of the Appellate Division, 2nd Department in Brooklyn. It's the worst court that we have. None of them's any good, but this is certainly the worst. And they're saying that I have to put in an argument by December 20th, that's Friday, as to why I should be granted poor person relief, when I thought I was already granted it. So this went out to them. All of this, it went out today, or it's being notarized. It's probably out by now. And this is Glendora's affirmation in support of the waiver of fee. And point 1 is that you told me that I had to get this in by Friday. And you know that all I have is $467 Social Security a month and $8 a year stockholders' dividends. Glendora has been granted IFP in former paupers 5 times by Chief Judge Grisey of the United States District Court, Southern District of New York, and you loathe the federal judges. How the state judges hate the federal judges. They're jealous. By the United States Court of Appeals and 10 times by the United States Supreme Court. I am poor. I am poor legally because of largely because of the Appellate Division, 2nd Department. I entrusted 14 cases to you for protection of rights and redress of wrongs. I've had 14 appeals before the 2nd Department. You ruled in favor of the crooks every time, unanimously and unilaterally. I know my being poor because of you makes you happy. The remainder of the poverty was engendered by other crooked lawyers and corrupt judges. As I state on TV, do not use this court, the Appellate Division, 2nd Department. It is dangerous to your health. A warning regulated for cigarette packages. Simultaneously, I show your pictures on TV. If I am not granted poor person relief, I cannot pay $50 notice of appeal, $250 RODI, request for Appellate Division intervention, and the cost of the record reproduced 13 times. You have drained me on that 14 times. Going to the Appellate Division costs tens of thousands of dollars. Ergo, I will not be able to appeal, will be denied due process, will sue you in the United States District Court, Southern District in New York, and everything will go to the Supreme Court of the United States for reckless disregard of federal rights. No other court but you makes the litigant bear the expense and work of a record on appeal. All the other courts send down the record. The United States District Court sends it to the United States Court of Appeals. The City Court of White Plains sends it to the appellate term. Only the Appellate Division, 2nd Department, makes the litigant pay for 13 copies of the record on appeal. Supposing your record on appeal is this wide. Glendora is sure denying her due process 5th and 14th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution will not bother you a bit. You are well experienced in the same. The action will be under color of state, Title 42 of the United States Code 1983 and Conspiracy 42 U.S. Code 1985. And it will be TV all the way with your pictures. The more Glendora sees and hears in Nassau County about the 2nd Department, the more she suspects mafia connections. Wherefore, Glendora's application for poor person relief must be granted in all honesty, fairness, justice, and loyalty to the United States of America and the flag for which it stands. Under penalty of perjury, Glendora swears she has told you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Dated White Plains, New York, December the 15th, 1996. Yours in truth, Glendora. And you have nice clerks. The clerks are nice in the Appellate Division, 2nd Department. Very nice. But that's chocolate-covered cyanide. Nice clerks and crooked judges. Okay, what went into this? Enclosures to the court only. Poor person affidavit of November 18th, 96. Grisey in form of pauperous granted on October 2nd, 1996, U.S. District Court, Southern District of New York, certifies the record to the United States Court of Appeals, 2nd Circuit. Judge Bryant grants an IFP on December 2nd, 1996. Glendora protests court ruling of December the 2nd, United States Court of Appeal with Callaghy asking for costs of $250, and it's all lies, and he doesn't present proof for anything. This is how desperate these people are for money. Glendora appealed Judge Bryant order based on chicanery of the Appellate Division. Motion to Judge Bryant to enforce the order that Callaghy pay Glendora $120 for the audio tape for Cablevision. Glendora opposes Callaghy, opposing her poor person relief, and what Cablevision Dolan Tata Quinn have cost Glendora, and an affidavit of service by Franklin Buell. I bet you those costs are right in here. That's where they ended up. Okay. All right. I think now I remember. Don't forget this, folks. You have any questions about crooked lawyers, then you call Americans for Legal Reform. (516-421-6390). And if you have any questions about crooked judges, you call the Center.